Well, I found another Zenith 6S52027, I believe it is. I found another one on eBay, and I ordered it, and it was local pickup, so I drove out and picked up the radio. The main reason I got this is that trim piece in the front around the automatic buttons, but the preset buttons. I was hoping that I might be able to, I would like to use the volume out of this, the volume control out of this, because the one in my radio is broken, and I don't think I can fix it. I could send it off and get it fixed. There's a place that redoes them. I think, I can't remember, is it Mark Oppett? I can't remember, but I thought, well, I'll get this, and maybe the volume control will be okay, and I will maybe even use this case because it seems to be in a little bit better shape. It's dirtier, but it doesn't have the problem in the front for the grill like the other one's got it broken. But okay, I'm not going to waste any more talking about that. If you don't know what you're doing on these old radios, do not plug them in. This is what happens. Now, I've been fighting this for probably 40 minutes, so let me see if I can get this out of here. Now, I took the screws out, and I could not get this radio out of this case, and this is going to make a mess. This is the reason why you don't. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. If you don't have the right equipment to plug in one of these old radios, then don't. Let me chunks of tar. So what I think happened, I believe this has a transformer in it. So what I think happened is they plugged it in, didn't know what they were doing. Thought, oh, I'll just plug it in and see if it works. Yeah, don't do that. There's chunks of tar. God, this stuff is just nasty too. Let me see if I can get these wires under this. Yeah, there's tar all over the inside of this case. The radio almost took a crash here. It's pretty upsetting when people do stuff like this. They don't know what they're doing, and they think they know what they're doing, and they can just do whatever they want. And well, they can do whatever they want. It was theirs. So, but you've destroyed a piece of history by doing what you did. You destroyed a piece of history. And I'm sure this could have happened. This could be why this radio was taken out of service. This could have been done. This could have happened, 20, 30, 40 years ago. I don't know. But it is upsetting to me. And let me get this case out of the way if I can. This is really starting to frustrate me now. I've got this crap all over the floor here now. Let me slide this back. Yeah. I don't think it's going to hurt anything to put it on its back. It's toast anyway. I don't want to destroy that antenna because somebody might be able to use that. But you see this. Looks like all the tar came out of that. Looks like all the tar came out of that transformer. And it was just glued in the case. So, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. That's all I can say. Just don't do it if you don't know what you're doing. The lucky this didn't start a fire. This got pretty hot to melt all of that out of there. They're lucky that didn't start a fire, and I'm sure it took out some of the, well, I don't know. Alright, well, maybe we can get the volume control out of it and use that. I'm going to check and see if it's okay. Alright, we'll be back. Frustrating. Well, I bought a new toy. It's an Anstey Z915 desoldering gun. Now, I didn't buy it to work on radios per se, but it seems to be working pretty good so far. I've desoldered a few terminals on these tube sockets, and it seems to work okay if there's not too many wires on the terminal. Seems like if there's a lot of wire on there, they can't really get in there and get the solder off. It can take some of it, but not all of it, really. We'll take a look at, let me come in here a little bit on these. I'm in the middle of removing this old hard wire out of this radio. And I had never done it on, never really dealt with a whole bunch of this hard wire. It's like all of it is just, it's toast. All of it needs to be replaced. It's all hard as a rock. Yeah, it's really hard and it's falling off. So it's the typical rubber wire from the whatever long they made that crap. But you can get this gun in there. We'll see this terminal right here and this terminal right here. We'll do both of these real quick and see how it does. I'll come back in there. I'm going to move you off to the side here a little bit so I can get in here and work. I wouldn't necessarily buy one of these guns for doing this type of work, but the gauges in my 03 Yukon went out. They went bad. And so what I've been doing after every use, no, that's the wrong one. After every use, I've been running these cleaners through it. I don't want it to get clogged up. I read online that they can get clogged pretty easy, so I got one of them. Just don't want to get in here, and the problem with this is getting in here with all of the clean this out one more time here. Yeah, that's that one I want. Now I will say that the desoldering gun makes quite a bit of noise. There, I just turned it off. It does make quite a bit of noise. But I don't mind. It isn't like I leave it on all the time. I just run it till, as I need it, and then I then I turn it off. So let's come back in here and take a look at the terminals. There. So not so bad. It did pretty good on both of them. Not so bad. Now, might be able to just get in here with the pick and pick them out, or just get your soldering iron back over here with that chisel tip on it and just pry the wires up a little bit, and you can pull them right off the terminal. So the way I've been doing this wire is I'll replace, I'll start with 2 joints, and I will replace this wire, and since there's nothing else on this one, I'll go ahead and solder it into place. Solder that one in. Then I'll get to here, and then I'll follow where this goes, and I'll desolder that joint. And then once I have the terminals on here, I'll solder this one, then I'll come over here. But I think this time on this one, this big joint over here, I'm going to have to just put the terminals in there. It's a big terminal joint. So there's, looks like there's 3 wires, and one of them goes, looks like one of them goes up inside the IF can. I'm going to have to follow it for sure, but yeah, that looks like it's going up into that IF can. That one's still pliable. this red one is, but one of these black wires coming out of that IF can is hard as a rock. So I'm just going to pull the IF can and redo it like it should be. You know, you're going to do it, let's do it. Do it right. But that desoldering gun worked pretty good, not so bad. I'll get in there and get those wires off and continue on. But, I mean, I am impressed with that desoldering gun, that Z915, ZD915. It worked very well on through-hole, circuit, and surface mount. You know, once you desolder the surface mount, that cleans up the solder pretty well. And then, you know, through the through-hole stuff, it just works perfectly on. I mean, that's what it was designed for. And to me, it seems like it's got quite a bit of suction. If it can suck the solder from both sides of this terminal from one side, I would say it's pretty good. So, I mean, you be the judge. But if you're thinking about buying one of those and you do a lot of desoldering, I think it's worth every penny for that desoldering gun. I don't think I would spend the 200 or 300 or 400 bucks that a Heiko cost. But this little unit that I bought, I think it was 129 bucks. I think it's worth every penny to me. All right, we'll come back when there's something more exciting to see. Yeah, lots of fun. Woohoo! Yeah, this is always before I've been able to just slide some heat shrink up the wires from the bottom while this is mounted in there, the IF can. This time it's just about impossible to. I could have done that, but you can see here on this black one and this red one, it would have been very difficult to do it. So I had to disconnect the wires anyway. So I've got wire to replace it with. I bought some wire, some solid wire. So might as well go ahead and change the wire, make sure it's right. But this is what the inside of that IF can, one of the IF cans, look like. There's a little insulating sleeve in there. So how I knew how this mounted, these go in there like that. The printing was this way in the radio, this way in the radio. And then I marked the bottom of it here. You can see a little black mark right here. Made a black mark on it right here. Might not be showing up all that great in the camera, but I made a black mark there. And I pulled this most of the way out and made a black mark on this on the bottom side here. Right there. My thumb was covering it. My thumb was covering it. There it is. So those two line up. That way I know how it goes in there. And then I made a little I made a small wiring diagram of how it's in the radio. This was for something else. I'm replacing the other wires on the bottom of the electrolytic can. This is the drawing of the bottom of the electrolytic can. And this is the IF can here. So I know where they go in the radio, so I can put them back and route them correctly how they were routed. I will say this radio is a pain. This blue wire was inside of a spiral, like a spring that's covered. Let me see if I can get a... You can't really see it all that well. You might be able to see it there. Let me... Now I had to undo this trimmer here so I could get to the terminal for that, and several of the other rubber wire that's fallen apart that I've been trying to change. But it's right here is the end of it. It's a spiral ring, and it's soldered to ground here, soldered to ground here, and it's like a spring. Pardon me. And the wire went through it. So I took some thick thread, and I'm using that so I can pull the wire back through if I can't just push it. I think I'm going to have to use that string, which it's not going to be that big a deal, but I can pull it up through. It's not going to be that big a deal. But I did use an Adapti-Cap for the electrolytic can replacement. I ordered these online. They work pretty good, but they don't fit the base of it. Let's see. Here's the base adapter for it right here. Let me widen this out a little bit and then come down here. So here's the Adapti-Cap, and then here's the base for the... See, it doesn't exactly line up. But I was able to use it still. I put a grommet and used just one screw, and I put a grommet between here and the chassis. Between here and the chassis. And I tightened it down very well. And it left me enough gap that none of these ground terminals were touching the chassis. Because I was noticing in the schematic they weren't going directly to chassis, they were like a floating ground, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes to chassis through through capacitors. I don't think there are any wires that are directly connected to the chassis itself from the power line or the B plus. Or the B negative is kind of a floating, because it's got the transformer in it. So yeah, I wish they made these in this size. They probably do, they're just not on their website. I'm sure they're in development for more of these. These are handy. Electrolytics just pop right in there. These things are pretty cool. Wish I would have had these for a few projects a little while ago. It beats mounting a terminal strip, but it takes away from the radio a little bit, you know, from the if you look in the back of the radio and see that it's, oh, how do you say, see in the back of the radio that it's not original, you'll be able to see those new electrolytics sticking up through the chassis. Well, I'm okay with that because they work so good. It's so much easier. So I'm going to use my soldering gun to get the solder off of these, and I will pull the wires out one at a time, and I did mark them. So I knew black and blue, green and red. I'll continue on with changing the rotting wire out of this radio. You can see it's just piles of it down here at the bottom. I keep having to keep cleaning off my bench, and I got quite a bit more to change yet, so got a ways to go. Well, I got the wires changed, pretty straightforward. Was really worried about, you know, screwing up these little wires that go to the coil, but they've wrapped them around here under the solder, like, I don't know, they wrapped them around here quite a bit. So I guess if you're really careless, you could do it. You could really screw them up. But I think if you just, you know, be careful and take your time. These aren't wrapped around. They're just stuck in a slot. Pardon me, stuck in a slot. And that's what they did when they manufactured. I think you can see it kind of on that green one right there. You can kind of see what's going on there. How that's just put in there. So yeah, they're all changed now. Got all the wires changed. I'm gonna do a continuity check real quick before I put it back together, just to make sure, you know, that I didn't screw up the coils. If there's a problem, I'll come back and show you what I did wrong. I'm pretty sure it's okay. I was very careful. Yeah, I'm going to put it back in there and get these routed back into place. It's not going to be easy, but I can do it. It's not a problem. Well, might be a little frustrating, but kind of enjoyable. It's kind of that enjoyable frustration, if you know what I mean. So we'll be back if I find something wrong that I screwed up on here with these coils. Continuing with the crappy rubber wire replacement on this Zenith. Man, I don't know if I ever want to do another rubber wire replacement. It's kind of, some parts of it are fun. Other parts of it are just like, come on, give me a break. Why? You know? So I was looking at this transformer. It's got 5 wires coming out of it, not 4. Most of these IF transformers have 4 wires coming out of it. There's 5. So I was looking at the schematic, and there are built-in, pardon me, built-in condensers. 2 of them. They're showing 2 of them. Built-in condensers, not part of the adjustable, condensers, not part of the adjustable ones at the top that you can adjust when you're doing your IF alignment. So I thought for sure it might be like a mica disease type thing going on, building up, possibly, I don't know. But looking at these, they're the same material that the it looks like they're built into these like multi-layered condensers built into this this one side underneath the adjustable. And I don't know that they're adjustable. They might be preset, but I can't see any other place where there are mica or there are condensers. It might be. You look at this. Let me see if I can get a pointer of some sort here. Might be hard to see. I'll try and. I want to get too close. You can kind of see it. See, there's multi-layers here. So I'm thinking those condensers are built in underneath these adjustable ones. So you got one here and one coming down over here too as well. Coming down over here as well. Let's see if I can get it in the light perfectly. Yeah, you can see it here and here. And then you've got connection here and here. You've got connection here and here going down to these terminals. These terminals here. Let me widen this out now a little bit. So you've got a built-in resistor here. It's a 47K, I believe. 47K, yellow, purple, orange, and it's 20%. And I measured it with the resistance, and it's 49. I measured the coils. They're 32 ohms. The coils are 32. This is 49K, that resistor is. And I can measure capacitance. I got a capacitance meter here. I've got a capacitance meter here. Let me get the leads out of the way here. Let's see if we can. Can I turn this so it's. Yeah, you can see it. I can only measure capacitance really across 2 leads, and it's these 2, this one and this one. So that would be the black and the brown. I'm telling you, these rotted rubber wires are something else. Black and brown. I think it's like 250. Yeah, got it on the wrong one. Yeah, 200 and about 245, 250 puff. The radio was working, so I don't see how to replace those. If a guy had to, I don't see how you'd replace them. So we'll just move on from here, get the wires changed on this. I did the same thing. I marked it, made a line. I marked the coil because I couldn't get to there. I made a mark on the coil right here. And the bottom of the can again, so I get this oriented properly. Mark the bottom of the can. It's hard to see in the light there, but I got a black mark right there on the edge of it so you can't see it. We get the rubber wire taken off of this pile of lovely radio, this Zenith. I don't know that I ever want to do another Zenith because of this, I guess. I don't know. They're not the only ones that put rubber wire in their radios, but man, it's a lot of work. I've been working on this for a lot of hours, and like I said before, I didn't pull the chassis apart. I just pulled the wires out one at a time, and they're just a mess here on the bench. Let me see if I can show you on the bench what I got going on here. Yeah, you can see the pile of crap wires here. And I've cleaned up twice. These are waiting to get installed. I don't want to put them in there until they're... Yeah, and it just makes a mess too. You can see it. It's like confetti. It just goes everywhere. And it's just piles and piles of this hard wire. So what I've been doing is I pull them out one at a time if I can, as best I can. And then I've been replacing them that way. It's not been super hard to do. In some instances, it was just nearly impossible to get the soldering iron down in there to do what you needed to do to get the wire off in some spots. There is one that I just desoldered from here. See if I can come in a little bit on that. Yeah. I just desoldered this wire and then slid a piece of clear heat shrink down over the wire, because I can't get to the bottom of this switch. I'd have to disassemble a whole bunch of stuff to get to that, and I didn't think it was worth it. As long as it's got the rubber over it, it's good to go. You know, it's not touching the. I was able to slide it down all the way down to the soldering terminal on the wafer switch, and I really didn't want to put any heat on that wafer switch. I'm going to be very careful with this wafer switch. I'm not a big fan of soldering on wafer switches. That's just me. So you can see I've slid quite a bit of wire. You know, this white wire underneath here, this white wire here, these green wires, this white wire down in here. I think you can see it. That one's blocking it, isn't it? There, you can see it now. These white wires here. It's just... There's a lot of wire in this radio. I didn't realize, you know, how much wire is in one of these radios. So I'm getting down to the last of it here. I get these. Now that green wire on this, the green wire on this was ran through, let's see if we can get in there and show you. Another one of those springs. So you can see that spring in there. And it's soldered and it makes a 90-degree turn. Here's where the wire comes up and it makes a 90-degree turn into this spring, and then it comes over to this terminal here. And the rubber in there, I tried tying a thread to the wire when I pulled it through, and the thread got to about right here, and the wire straightened out. So I got to figure out how to clean this spring out. It shouldn't be that big a deal. I just haven't messed with it yet. I got to do that before I can put that transformer back in there and feed that wire through nice and slow. So something else on this transformer that I hadn't seen before. You can see the fine wire is wrapped around the wire. They put the wire through, and then they've wrapped the fine wire around it and soldered it. So I am not going to desolder these terminals. I'm going to bust this rubber off to a certain length, and I will make J-hooks and put new wire on, and then I'll slide heat shrink down over it to here so it doesn't short out. Heat shrink down to here so it does not short out. And I'll probably cut them like somewhere in here so we don't have too much heat shrink. If I had different color heat shrink the right length, I would just bust this off and then just slide the heat shrink on. But I was thinking about when you go to slide the wire through this spring, that heat shrink is going to want to slide off. It's not going to be easy to do because that heat shrink will want to like ball up. Whereas the coating on the should have a piece of green wire here. While the coating on this wire will not ball up. It's pretty stiff. It's bonded pretty well to the wire. Not really bonded, but it's... I think you get the drift. It's much thicker and stiffer. The heat shrink is thinner and weaker and will want to ball up in there as you pull it through. So I could just see in that being a mess. So just continue on here. Working nice and easy on this. Just taking my time. Trying not to bust anything. And if I screwed up one of these transformers, luckily I got another radio that has a set of transformers in it, so hopefully they're probably just as bad as this, so I'll be down the same road, which I don't want to go down the same road. But if I screw up one of these coils, I've got another transformer I can use. So it's the first radio I've had another one for parts, and the only thing I've really stolen is that volume. And the, oh, what else did I, there was something else I needed off of it. I can't remember now. Oh, the front. The trim. The whole reason I got the other radio was the trim around the preset buttons. So I can get that bezel and the cover for the presets. So I'll be back when there's something more interesting to show you. Let's continue on with the wire. Thanks for watching.